Bob, congratulations on 25 years in the business. And most important question in the times of this pandemic, is the family all right? Friends, colleagues doing safe and healthy?
Yes, thanks so much for asking that. Yeah, we're all doing fine, absolutely safe. We've been following all the precautionary measures, not stepped out of the house, and well, let's see till when that happens because everybody has to start working one day. But
Yeah.
otherwise, how have you been? All good with you?
So far, so good. Not complaining. I'm not missing the traffic though. You are fantastic in class of 83. I'm just wondering, have you never been offered stuff like this before, or have you been saying no to stuff like this before? A script, a film, a role like this?
I'm so glad you liked it so much. Thank you so much for that. It means a lot. Uh, I have never been offered roles like this, and
Wow.
the closest something of that kind of a intense character was maybe Bichu, which they
Hmm.
hardly spoke anything. But this was a subject which had so much substance to it. It had so much depth in the character. So this was actually something I was looking for all my life, and somewhere I think an opportunity like this can only have come on an OTT platform like Netflix. Because on Netflix you see a lot of different genres, and there's a lot of freedom in how people are allowed to do their work. It's not just about you have to commercialize it or you have to make it in a certain pattern. They believe they want realistic cinema. And for me, being a part of a script which is so realistically shot and the feel of the film, the characterizations, I think I was really excited, man. I mean, I still remember the day when Netflix, Red Chilies came to me with Netflix on board, and I was like, wow, Netflix and Red Chilies, Shah Rukh Khan, Gauri, and Gaurav. I was like really excited. Now the question was, how is the script going to be? Because all that is fine, but eventually it's the script that matters the most. And when I read the script, Atul was directing, I was like, this is something I was so looking for since so many years. And a character like this, which is so real, which has so much depth, it was just very interesting for me to play something like this. And I'm glad that I've got this chance to do this role.
Bobby, you and I have lived through the 90s when these encounter killings were actually happening, and cops like Daya Nayak and Vijay Salaskar were in the news. So much was happening in the movie industry. I remember Ritik's dad had gotten shot at one point in time. There was a lot of turmoil. What were you
Yeah.
thinking of, when all this was happening in society at the time? Also,
I know
I
it
mean, I don't know
happened.
if you ever got any close.
It happened to Rajiv Rai after Gupt
Yeah,
released.
of course. Yeah.
He
That's as
he
close
left
as
the
it can
country.
get.
He left the country and went away for so many years. So I guess at that point this was a big issue, and it happens. I think all these things become an issue till you find a cure to it. It's like Corona has taken away our lives, so people are fighting to find a cure. So basically, Class of '83 is based in the '80s when all this was going sky high. The amount of gangsters, the amount of mills shutting down, workers without no jobs, being pushed into becoming gangsters. All that was going on, and the control over it was very difficult. So, I remember when I started shooting, I used to go to these mills. Like there's so many mills which we have shot at because
Yeah.
of that period which was shut down because of the union and all that. So it was a really bad period for a lot of people at that point, and the police had to do things the right way. And so it's a story about this police officer who is so honest and sincere, who had his own family issues, who had things that he had to look after, but his job, his profession was number one on his list. And how someone like him goes through a journey of being put into a place where he can't do anything from again getting that motivation and gives himself another chance and does something about it. But things can never go the right way even if you're trying to do the right thing. Sometimes the things you try to do the right way, people who are doing it for you go the wrong way. So that is something which this film tries to talk about, that power can make you lose control, and it can make you go the wrong way, and how there's one sincere cop trying to control all that.
It must have been a little chilled out to have the natural grays out in a role, because that's him, the cop. No excessive makeup, playing your age. You've never hidden your age, which is so cool.
No.
So just letting Vikram Gaikwad and his team just do the, make this guy middle aged. Must have been quite a chilled out feeling that way.
Yeah, I luckily don't have so much gray hair, so they had to put this thing in my hair, and it
Ah,
would be smelling, and it would kind of come off, and I had to keep applying it, and especially on my mustache, they would come, and that would go straight into your nose. But
yeah.
for my age, I'm pretty. My friends are jealous that you don't have so much gray hair. I'm like, I didn't do anything about it. I think it's my genes because my dad didn't gray for a long time.
Yeah.
So the only thing I have to color is my beard.
Yeah.
That's a pain. Thankfully, there's no beard in this film. But I think Vikram Gaikwad has done a great job. He has
Yeah.
given a look to every character. It does make a difference, and I still remember doing all the look tests and everything, and my director coming to me and saying, Bobby, I want you to stop working out. I want you to look weak, someone whose life has pushed him into this situation. I said, you know something, the kind of character Vijay Singh is, he's a tough man. He's been pushed into a corner,
Yeah.
but yet he is that solid character which physically also has to come across. And he agreed with that after we shot a few days, and then he came up to me one day. He says, Bobby, walk like a 50-year-old man. I'm like, Atul, I'm 50 years old. How do I walk? So it was funny, but he said, "Hi, yeah, sorry, हाँ हाँ नहीं तो ठीक चल रहा है तो ठीक कर रहा है."
Bobby, also some nostalgia. I mean, Viju Shah, since you talked about Gupt briefly, Viju Shah did the music of Gupt, and here he is back again doing the background score of Class of '83. And it's so, so 80s and 90s, a very kitschy kind of sound. It must have been really nice. Bit of
Yeah,
nostalgia in there.
definitely. I mean, he was a perfect choice for doing the background because he's from that age, and I guess he's seen that same period, and he knows what what the flavor was of those days, and he's done a really good job, and I'm so glad. I mean, I think this is my second film with him. Gupt was
Mm.
my first, and this is my second film with him. So, people I know, some of my friends, some of my co-actors, they're so excited that Viju Shah's done the music. I'm like, yeah, dude,
Listen,
that's very
you've
nice.
done your fair share of screaming and shouting in films. I mean, like Shahid onwards. So it must have been
Yeah,
also wonderful to just completely underplay. This guy doesn't even raise his voice. I mean, he's just so cool. He's got that strength. He's got that, staccato delivery. You must have enjoyed this one.
I think see the kind of personality, the kind of character he is, and all that he's gone through in his life. He knows that raising his voice is not going to get him what he wants. He knows that he has to say it with such feel that people in front of him will not, they won't need to be screamed at. There is a point where he's almost going to scream at them, and he realizes, that I'm just talking to these people. There's no point talking to them. If I have to say something, they're not going to listen to me. So I think it was interesting. I mean, though I never really, when you're on the set, it's all improvisation. Eventually, that takes a scene to where it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't feel the need to do certain things and express in that way. And I think that's the reason why the whole character is the way he is.
Bobby, also, this particular film has this guy depressed. He has suicidal tendencies. It's a bit of a dark space. Now, when you do roles like this, I mean, for scene after scene after scene, you've got to maintain that tone, yeah, that suicidal, depressed kind of a tone. Are you a switch off, switch off, switch off, switch on kind of guy, or does it start affecting you when you're playing a part like this?
I don't think I can't switch. I can't. I mean, I can easily switch off after I reach home. I
Cool.
mean, definitely when you're on the set, you have to keep that thing going on because you need to be in that frame of mind. But other than that, I don't think. Sometimes when you're working, certain characters, like especially like this character, would it kind of gets to you in a certain
Yeah.
way because you're thinking of all the negativity around him, and he's lived through it, and how he's not been able to take care of his son. The relationship he shares with his son, there's so much distance, and I have my own kids, and you those thoughts start coming to you. It's like it works in your mind, but end of the day, we are actors, and we have to shut off, otherwise we lose our minds.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Listen, you've had some really wonderful leading ladies over the years. Let's look back at a 25-year career. You debuted with Tina, films with Amisha Patel, Preeti Zinta, Kareena, Karishma, Rani Mukherjee, Kajol. You want to tell me about the ladies you really enjoyed working with, like who you're buddies with? You just like love having a few laughs and a sense of bonding.
I think out of all, I enjoyed working with all of them, but I think Preeti, who I call with love Preetam Singh, is someone I'm really fond of. She and me actually knew each other before we started working together. So somewhere the bond started from there because I knew what she was before she became an actor, and even I was starting my career at that point. So she and me, I mean, in once in a blue moon, we'll have a message exchange. I mean, not that I'm in touch with any of them, but and then same goes for Rani. Rani and me somehow we really, really, we really I mean, the funniest thing is I've had a fight with both of them in between while we were working, and I think that brought us closer because I
Correct.
was young, they were young, and so that's how I think we. I mean, I'm very close to Rani and Preeti in that sense.
And your directors, I
Others,
mean, look at the film.
I
Otherwise, sorry.
otherwise, Kareena and Karishma, they were like Karishma was supposed to do my first film actually,
Correct. Yeah.
and it didn't happen. And I remember seeing Kareena coming with her. She was a little kid at that point, so I've seen them from that age, and then all the other Aishwarya was her first film, so that was also my second film that I signed, or third film. So it was nice working with all of them. They had. It's just that when you all knew, everybody is so. They have no fixed way of approaching anything. It's like everything is
Correct.
an experience happening. So it's like we all felt the same thing at the same time, the situations.
And
So
your
it was
directors, I
nice.
mean, Abbas Mastan and you have so much history together, yeah? Soldier, Ajnabi, Hamraz, Naqab, players, there's Samir Karnik, there's Sangeet Sivan, Anil Sharma, Guddu Dhanua, your brother. So,
Yeah.
memorable directors.
I know. I mean, I was lucky to have worked with them. I mean, I have uh, I have actually a great relationship with Abbas Bhai Mustan Bhai because I've done so much
Mhm.
work with them, and they've always treated me like the younger brother. They've always been there, and some people who have always been in touch with me, and definitely Guddu Dhanoa, who's like my cousin. He's actually my uncle, but I used to call him Guddu Bhaiya. So
Mhm.
I've known him. Guddu Bhaiya was before he became a director. He used to be at my house because he just had no work. So he used to drive us to our schools, bring us back, and do all these things.
Sweet.
And I saw his success from there to becoming a producer, director, and reaching that level. And then obviously Anil Sharma, he's been working with my dad since donkey's years, and then with my brother, he gave the biggest hit of our Indian cinema. And it was fun working with Anil. It's just that I've seen them since I was growing up, so there was no inhibitions or anything while working with them. And then Rajiv Rai, obviously, I wish I'd worked more
Yeah.
with Rajiv because he's a sweetheart. It's just that he had to go away when the movie released with all those issues at that point, and then somehow we never ended up doing work together. But I think I wish I had a chance to work with him again. Otherwise, it's been a great journey with a lot of people, a lot of directors, producers. It's been up and down, but it's been fun.
Bobby, another thing about Class of '83 is, this cop character is going to go down in history. I mean, I have a gut feeling about this because with OTT platforms, it never comes off, right? It's not like going to come off the screen. It's going to be there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people are going to love it and love this character, revere it, even cinema students and fans alike. Cop films that cop characters that you've really been inspired by, or any you've done before that you want to mention, or any other
Uh, I've
actor who's
I've
done a cop
I've
character.
I have done characters which have been more commercial kind of cops, you
Mhm.
know. So they were never those characters were obviously those were the kind of films, so that's how they were. But for me, to think about a cop character, I mean, I've seen Serpico. I used to love. It was that character in Serpico was really great. It was something which was
Yeah.
one of the best performances by Al Pacino, I think, and that was one good cop. And then Can't really think of any other cop right now
No,
besides
that's a good
Deep
one.
Vijay Singh.
Serpico's a good one. Yeah. I saw this beautiful poem you'd narrated for our COVID 19 warriors, Bobby. It was filmed by your son. I believe he's showing a real talent for cinematography. Talk to me about that shoot.
Well, that just happened out of the blue. Sanjay Masum, he's someone I've worked with in many films. He's a dialogue writer, and so all this that was the beginning of the Corona times, lockdown times, and everybody was getting frustrated and things like that. So he called me up and said, मैंने एक poetry लिखी है, तू मेरे लिए इसको narrate कर देगा? तो मैंने बोला हाँ मैं करता हूँ, but I didn't have any this thing that will I be able to do it the right way. So he sent it to me, and I loved the poetry. It was very simple. It had a great flow to it. It touched your hearts. It made you feel. It showed what people were feeling. So I did that. I recorded it and gave it to him. He says, "Bobby, अभी तो इसको एक shoot भी कर देना." ऐसे shoot कर दूं? मैं कैसे shoot कैसे करूं इसको अभी मैं? You know, I I was like, okay, fine. Let me think about it. Then I know my youngest son. He likes to do all this video and all that. So I went up to him and he was so excited. Papa, I'll shoot it like this.
Oh.
We'll do it like this. I'll pan the camera when you do move. And I'm like, beta, just shoot this a block shot. No, no, Papa, I'll do it like this. So there was a lot of creative differences happening between me and him.
Sweet. But I'm sure
But
you gave in as the dad.
yes, I
Yeah.
did. So it was sweetly done. I mean, not much we had to do, but still, it was a beautiful poetry, and I'm glad I was a part of it. And you can do that much you can to reach people and you know make them understand. And I'm sure everybody understands, but they forget every moment and get frustrated. Even I do. And then someone comes and tells you that it's just about a few days. Don't give up. So it was sweet poetry.
Class of '83 also, Bobby, is written by Hussain Zaidi, who's a really acclaimed writer, and this film is based on a book of his. Did you have any sessions with Hussain? Because he's a fascinating guy. I mean, he's actually covered the underworld as a journalist. He's gone through that whole phase as a crime reporter and journalist.
No, I never got a chance to meet him, and the book was being written at that point, and but the producers had been in touch with him, and they had already like started working on the scripting with him in the loop, I think, and so it is exact. It is not exactly his book. I have heard it's just moments from that book, and the slight narrative maybe would be similar to his book, but I would not be the right person to say that because I haven't read the book. So this answer, I think, someone as a producer could tell you about more clearly.
Bobby, do you feel at any point in your career you lacked some motivation and then you found your mojo back? 25 years is not a small time, and the kids who are looking up wanting to be the next Bobby Deol. So I want to understand this whole process of lasting this long and being successful at what you do.
I guess I did for yeah. I felt in my career for 2 3 years I didn't work because somewhere I kind of started feeling that nobody wanted to work with me. I wasn't getting good work, and yes, I lost that fire inside me, and I started like pitying myself more than trying to understand what's happening and what am I supposed to do. And then one day I just realized that nobody can help you. You can only help yourself. And I just snapped out of that whole thing and I started working on myself and just pushed myself. And I think that's the reason why after that 3 years break, again, I started doing so many movies. And last year I did Houseful 4. So for me, it was a big push. Race 3 and Houseful 4 brought me into public eye more because they're big stars
Yeah.
who I worked with, and a lot of people watched their movies. And I think I was really lucky to be a part of those movies because I wanted people to notice me and to think about me. And that's how things work for everybody nowadays. You have to speak about yourself. You have to be seen more often on all the social media, things like that. So for me, movies is the only way of doing it. So I was very lucky that I got those projects. And then the most happiest when I got Class of '83. I mean, that's something which was,
Lovely.
as an actor, was the most satisfying thing at the moment. But I'm hoping that after this, people look at me in a different way and offer me characters which will be beyond Class of '83.
Lovely. Bobby, my last question is Dad Dharamji still at the farmhouse? Are you able to go and visit him now that we're in a state of semi lockdown?
No, I have not been able to because my sons, they're at home. I don't want to leave them and go because they're doing online schooling and all that.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
there's no Wi-Fi there because the farmhouse, even 4G doesn't work properly. So, but my dad is enjoying. I'm happy he's there. He loves his farming. It keeps him busy with all that because sitting at home and not even stepping out, even if you don't go out so often, is kind of
Yeah.
suffocating. Yeah.
Bobby, thanks for these wonderful 25 years. Thanks for all the magic on the screen. And from class of 83, I can tell you ain't even close to being done yet. Here's to the next 25, 30. Lots of love. Bye, bro. See ya.
Thanks,
Cheers.
thanks, dude. Stay safe. Take care. Hope to be in your studio
Thanks.
one day soon.
Yeah, soon. Yeah. Bye. See you.
Bye.